Okay, we are recording.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight as we update you on our progress on the West A projects, both Project A and Project B. So I'm Thomas Schaefer. I didn't get the chance to meet you or be with you at last meeting, but I was with you on the first meeting, and I'm very glad to be able to join you tonight. I know some of you have recognized me because after the first meeting, I was happened to be at the community blood bank and answering the questions that they ask you as they get you hooked up. And the gentleman beside me recognized and said, "Hey, weren't you on that West A meeting the other night?" So good to be out and be recognized in the community. So we're going to do a little review on where we're at with Project A. That's the one that's under construction. Talk about what we got accomplished, what our updated plans are. We're going to also have Daniil talk about Project B and where we're at on that, maybe what you can expect in the upcoming next few months, and some of our communications, and then have some time for some questions with everybody. So just wanted to take a moment to talk about what that West A improvement's going to bring you. Remind that the residents here are going to see safety. They're going to see higher traffic capacity through there. These roundabouts are going to offer quicker transitions through the intersections. They're going to increase the safety of those intersections. We're going to have upgraded PED facilities. The utilities have been upgraded. Overall, an overall enhanced transportation experience. I just want to remind you that you can either email Erica or put your questions in the chat box at the end of this. So let's look at the map again, orient ourselves. So on be my left-hand side, I assume it's yours too, is the west city limits of Lincoln out near Southwest 40th, actually closer to Southwest 36th. And about the middle part of that, you can see a little blue dots, and that would be Coddington Avenue. And then towards the right-hand side of the map is Folsom. And a little beyond Folsom to the east is where the other projects. This is a very large project. It's been cut in two for construction purposes, and one of the largest ones we've done in the city. So focusing on the West A project, Project A. This is the one that's under construction right now. It starts at about Southwest 23rd, goes through the Coddington intersection, goes over US 77. It goes through the Folsom intersection and ends just short of Salt Creek. So Project A, what have we gotten done? Well, we've gotten some pavement done between Coddington and Southwest 9th. We have two-way traffic restored on that. And that also means that we have the driveways on both the north and the south sides of West A all completed. Stormwater connections have been completed in that stretch and through most of the project, and our wastewater improvements and upgrades have been completed. Like I said, most of the storm is done, about 95% of it. There's just a little bit more to do. All of the private utilities have been relocated, and we think they're about clear of us. And I want to talk about that a 30-way stop at Coddington West A has been put in, and that's to maintain the safety and convenience for the people out there. So what's some of the next steps that you're going to see? Well, next week, this is very timely. We're having our meeting today that we can share with you that next week, a second three-way stop is going to be added north of the existing one that's at West A and Coddington. As you go further north on Coddington and onto Rosa Parks Way, we're going to need to put a second one in there as we shift traffic around. This is to maintain safety and help all legs of the intersection function on that. We're also in the middle of testing the water main. So that is nearly complete when we get to testing. We hope all goes well there. You're going to see some sidewalk installation that's starting to start filling out and there. And at the moment, the roundabout at Folsom is on hold till Windstream gets their work 100% finished. We think they're about finished, but I'm not quite sure about that. So I want to ensure that before I say that. So that's on hold at the moment, but we hopefully they can get finished up and we can start putting together a plan on how to get that addressed now. We're going to continue that roundabout construction you're seeing at Coddington. I was just out there yesterday. There's paving going down. There's some more paving going down, and talking with the contractor. Once that water main's up, we'll even be able to fill some more gaps that's over top of the existing water main. So let's talk a little bit about this timeline. And the main culprit here, without a doubt, is the Windstream private utility. They had some delays in obtaining material. They had delays in when they could cut over those connections. They wanted to keep service. They have to keep service to the area. This is one of the main feeder routes that comes in from West Lincoln and goes all the way into town and back out. So there's a lot of customers on here. So it was not an easy thing to get done, but that has pushed this project into the probably the winter months, and probably pushes its final completion into summer of 2022. So because of this unforeseen circumstance where we weren't able to get that Windstream work out of the way, we've changed some of the phasing. If you remember, we had some of the contract, we were going to close that north leg of Coddington down and allow the contractor to have a larger area to work on. We think and that was under the assumption that Folsom was done. Since Folsom isn't done, we don't think that's the right thing to do and put traffic through that Folsom interchange or intersection right now. So we're going to leave that north leg open. But in doing that, there's a trade-off. That also pushes things longer because we can't give a full working area to them. We've got to be more cautious around the moving traffic. And so that's going to slow this project as well as we try to maintain that convenience for folks in the area. And I just want to mention that, school's going to be starting Monday. We know that. That was one of the reasons we wanted to get two-way traffic installed. That would help decrease the traffic that's using Coddington and West South Street. With that, though, we'll also be doing our traffic flow monitoring in that area and watching how things are going. Traffic engineering has been out and placed some additional stop lines in there. And they're studying the area. This is going to be one of the future school zone improvements that's getting planned. You may have seen some of the information that we did some this year, and in the future years, we'll be doing others around other schools. And this is one of them that they're planning for and studying right now. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Mark Rosso, who's our senior construction engineer. And he'll talk a little bit about where we're at with Project A and some of the updates for it. Mark?
Thanks, Thomas. So construction engineering, that's kind of the fun part where everybody gets to see things, right? Design engineering is kind of off in the distance and the public doesn't generally see it. So let's talk a little bit about where we're at. Next slide, Erica. So right now, looking north on Coddington, so this would be Super Sarah. Russ is off to the right. This is the intersection as it stands last week. So some of the traffic flow going north-south. We've got the center median there prepared for seating, and then the lanes of traffic ready to go for the next phase. And I've got country bandwidth out here, so I get a slow transition. Pavement progress on Coddington and West A. So we've got 2-lane traffic going eastbound on A, which was a nice thing to have. And we're starting to implement driveways and things like that throughout the area to get the roundabout at Coddington built. So we're maintaining use of street safety for our travelers. This is looking southbound on Coddington with Russ's Market on the left. I know some of the traffic changes have been challenging for people to pay attention to. This particular intersection is a bit of a challenge to get through. So we appreciate everybody's patience going through that. So our water main is 95% complete. Pick your number, 95 or 100, whichever way you want to go. It's not completely done. We need to pressure test and do some things there to get it finished. That should be finished shortly. The Annotated, I'm happy to report, is 100% complete and operable. That has been a challenge with things 25 feet in the ground. I know that K2 had some difficulties here and there, and so hopefully that's all been worked out by now. Stormwater drainage, you can see the manhole here and storming pipe and one of the inlets being built. That's 100% complete. One of the features that we really like is improving access so that the American Disabilities Act is followed, so that folks that can't get around quite as easily walking or biking can get in and out of the project site. So this is an example of some of the features that were built there. The truncated domes, black domes there help blind and visually disabled people navigate those areas. And next up, seating and grading. We like to see this because it means we're almost done. So we'll start seeing quite a bit of that get done east of Coddington now. So with that, that's my contact information. Feel free to call or email if you'd like. And with that, I'll introduce Danielle, going to talk about the second phase or Project B.
Hi, I'm Danielle Vaukel, as Mark said, and I've been the design engineer on this project since the beginning. And a lot of you probably recognize me from all the other public meetings we've had. But for the rest of you who might be new to the neighborhood, or maybe this is your first public meeting, I've been working with the city for almost 5 years and and on this project since it started. So it's kind of fun to see it from the beginning all the way through construction. Erica, you want to switch the slide? I'll just do an introduction or a little brief description of what we're calling the West Project or Project B. I don't have a lot of new information to present, but I still want to walk you through the project. So the West Project starts at the west city limits and it continues to the east, where we're finishing construction near Southwest 23rd. The Project B is a little bit different than Project A here. Out west, we're planning to widen the road wider than what we're doing east of Coddington, but it will have continuous sidewalks on the north side. We'll build a 5-foot sidewalk on the north side of West A where we have development, and on the south side we'll have a continuous 10-foot wide bike path that will continue all the way from Southwest 36th to Southwest 23rd and beyond. We're going to construct a full curb and gutter. We'll put in storm sewer. We'll get rid of these open ditches that a lot of you struggle with mowing when it's wet. So we'll try to eliminate those with the curb and gutter and collect the storm water and run it through an enclosed system. We're going to construct safer intersections, and we'll be constructing roundabouts at approximately every quarter mile throughout the length of the project. We will improve the routes to get to Southwest 40th. You know, currently some of you might want to head west to head into Lincoln, and with the improved street improvements, that route should be a lot easier to do. And then the roundabouts and the other elements that we're constructing will allow for future development on the north side of West A over the next few years. So I know this is difficult to read depending on the size of the screen you have, but this is an aerial map of the entire project. It is available for you to view on the city's website. Just go to the city's website, type in West A, and it'll take you to the project site. And then you can kind of interact with this map, and you can zoom in and you can look at your properties and see more detail of everything that we're building in this area. Next slide. So the project timeline for project B, while we know that project A is still under construction, we just need to take a really good look at the schedule to determine what we want to do for project B. We're evaluating the construction of project A. We'll see how well we can get done. Like I think Thomas said, we really want to get the intersection of Coddington complete before we want to close anything further west. It's just going to allow better traffic for the neighborhood. The other thing we need to evaluate is the utility relocations that are required as part of project B. And we'll just really need to get those done prior to doing any of the street improvements. And the major utility we need to look at is the overhead line of LES along the north side of the street. And they want to get it buried underground. But prior to them being able to start on that, we are currently working on all the right-of-way acquisitions and temporary easements that we need for construction. So we're working on the easements along the north side for sure, so LES can get started. But we're also getting basically going on all the other right-of-way properties throughout the project. And let me just recap kind of what that is. Those of you who have property with direct access to West A, it's likely that you've been contacted or are currently going through those right-of-way negotiation process. It includes all acquisition of property, permanent easements for the utilities, temporary easements for construction, and building of the sidewalks and the storms and the storm drains and the streetlights and everything else we need. So we began working on right-of-way acquisition back in 2020 with the appraisal process. And I think last I heard, we have met with all of those property owners who are impacted by the project, whether we've met with you personally or have already gone through that property review. But there's still a lot of work to be done. There are 102 properties along the project, and I know we have completed 43 agreements as of today, and the remaining properties are within various stages of the appraisal negotiations. But if you have any questions regarding the right-of-way negotiations or that process or anything about Project B, feel free to reach out to me. And there is my contact information. You can call or email anytime. With that, I will turn it back to Thomas.
Thank you very much, Mark and Danielle. So we provided some great information about projects A and B. We want to kind of remind you a few things. 22 football fields of concrete out there. The next one has six and a half football fields of concrete. And we're hoping to meet with you again in March of 22 and give you an update where we're at. We're going to, of course, keep trying to communicate through our social media updates. And you're always welcome to go to lincoln.ne.gov, search West A, and you should be able to find information at that location as well. So thank you much, West A neighbors. I've got a few questions that have been put in here. So I have a comment, I guess maybe the first one's a comment. It says the last three-way stop implementation wasn't marked as well at first, and it seems some didn't notice the stop signs. Will the north three-way stop off of Rosa Parks be better marked and announced ahead of time? There is going to be a press release going out on that, and I believe we are learned from our last time, and we're going to try to do the similar things to get people to notice those. But you can probably also help us out by talking to your friends and neighbors that drive through that area. Warn them that that's coming, because sometimes you just kind of get into a daze after thinking about your day ahead of you or the day you just had, and maybe not paying as much attention. So please let folks know about that if you can. Let's see, the next one, Erica, that I have, or can you see it now, Erica?
I can see it now.
Okay, I'll let you moderate.
Sure. Okay, the next question. Has the hydro mulch been obtained so grass reseeding can occur? And if not, what are the options to proceed with seeding this fall east of Coddington?
I'm gonna try to answer this, and I'm gonna let Galen correct me if I'm wrong, but seeding is part of our existing contract with that. So we have already bid that as part of the project, and the contractor will be working on that as appropriate into the fall. If the area is not 100% complete, we don't want to do that until we have that work done, so we don't tear up what has been done.
Yep, that's correct.
All right. Thank you, Galen.
The next question is, what's the estimated time to complete the main roundabout?
We're probably looking at sometime in mid-November for that. Right now, that is the estimate that we have with the changes that we've needed to make and the traffic accommodations that we are providing.
Okay, next question. Traffic signage has been changed prior to any notifications leading to near misses. Any chance we could be notified ahead of time?
Like I said, we try to put out press releases when we do that sort of work. It is a construction zone, and sometimes there's some temporary things that have to pop up to accommodate maybe a unique experience. So with all construction zones, I'd just encourage you to keep your eyes open and be aware of the changes that might have to happen on a day-to-day basis. But any long-term things such as that three-way stop, we're going to try to put out in a press release ahead of time.
Next question. When will offers to residents in Project B be completed?
That's always a good question. You know, we've been talking at a couple of our public meetings that, you know, this is a process. Folks have opportunities to consider the offers that we make them. They can ask for additional information. They can go get their own independent appraisal on things. So those sort of things are hard to predict depending on the situation. But we certainly want to get that wrapped up here before we would start any construction on Project B.
When will a 35-mile speed sign be installed going on West A east of Coddington?
I do not, This one, I'm wishing I had Dan Carpenter of our traffic engineering section here. And maybe someone else can help me out. Is it not 35 right now?
It is 35. If there's not enough signage out there, I can get with our traffic department ASAP and we'll get signage out there then.
Okay, well, we need to, yeah, we'll need to, I guess, look into that and meet standards. There's national standards for putting up those. So if there's a place that maybe someone thinks that the sign is missing or something, please let us know on that.
Okay, next question. There have been significant delays. The original timeline was to have both projects completed by the end of 2021. What's being done to mitigate delays for Project B?
I think that's some of what Daniil talked about is we're evaluating when we want to get started on that one. We want to make sure that we have all of the right of way in place. We want to work with the utilities and get that done so we're not starting construction and then having to wait on them. So while that may not speed up an overall completion date, it should decrease the amount of time that folks are experiencing construction because we're going to wait to start so we can go faster when we do.
Which of the projects is to be completed in 2022? Is that for A or for B?
So the project we're working on now, probably my prediction is it's going to be finishing up in 2022. The roundabout at Folsom is an asphalt construction that's very weather dependent. And, it may not seem like that on the hot weather we've had now, but we are approaching that time when we get to October, we're really getting too cool for an asphalt product to be a long lasting one. So we don't want to put down something that's not going to be long lasting. And we may have to delay till spring when warmer weather comes. So that's the 2022 number that we were throwing out.
We have had 3 or more different surveys and they're not set in stone. And is anything final yet? I think I'm not quite 100% sure if that's the question, but that's what I think it is. Does that make sense?
I'm going to go out on a limb. So maybe if they can provide some more information, I'm going to guess this person's on the west end of the project and Project B. Yes, sometimes we have to do additional surveys to make sure that we have enough information to design things. And I think overall, the concept of the Project B is pretty well set in stone. But as we go through and do property negotiations, sometimes there's individual small things that we can do. So I don't know if this person's talking about the overall project or maybe they're just their property in specifically. So overall, I would say in general, the concept's set, but there's still tweaks and minor things that we can do with folks on their individual properties.
On a positive note, West A Street east of Coddington looks great. Yay. Okay, next question. Maybe suggest stop signs with flashing lights.
We will pass that along to our traffic engineering folks who are, like I said, the experts on that and know how to follow the rules and the guidance for those things. And we'll see what they recommend, but we'll pass that along.
Let's see. Someone said the website shows Project A to be completed in fall 2021. I can answer this question. Before this, we just ended up updating that website. So if you go back on there, probably now, it should be updated with the current project completion dates. Next question, any chance for a stoplight on the south end of the shopping complex?
I suppose there's always a chance. Traffic signals have to meet a warrant. And so there are federal warrants that you have to meet in order for a traffic signal to be installed. It has to both meet a warrant and then be recommended by a traffic engineer. So I know we study areas, we do traffic volume counts, and we look at things. We do crash reports. We do different things to look for the opportunities where those will make sense and be added. But at this present time, I know of no plans to do a traffic signal at that location.
What is the plan for safe crossing of West A by school students walking to school?
Well, West A's pretty long, so I'm not sure exactly where they're talking about there, Erica. But we would have them, like several of our other roads. We would there's safe routes to schools, so there are places where there's markings out for crossings on that. But I would say that, the plan is what we do typically on our arterial streets is try to get them funneled to a safe location to do that and mark it as appropriate.
We are on the west end of the project, and we're told we would have an offer almost 4 weeks ago, but haven't heard back yet. What should they do?
I would say
I just wrote it down, and I can verify. I talked to Michelle with Rightofway and Jeremy, who's been working with the negotiations almost daily, so I can ask specifically about your property.
Okay. Is there a name that you saw then, Danielle, or do you need an address?
Yep,
Okay.
I see it.
Okay, good.
Okay, the intersection of Coddington and West Garfield Street is dangerous, especially with increased traffic with West A closed and all of the residential cars parked on both sides of the street as you turn on and off the street. It's also difficult to see oncoming traffic from the north with the large construction signs. Is there something that can be done to improve this intersection specifically during construction and after?
We can go out and take a look at that for during construction. Like I said, I was out there yesterday. I do know you have to pull out a little farther, but that's because the traffic lane's blocked off. You're able to do that safely. So I think that's an option to know that because of that traffic lane being blocked off, you are able to pull out a little farther than maybe you would typically at an intersection and to proceed safely across there on that. So.
And just an update, there is no speed limit signage going east from Coddington and Southwest 17th. So that might be something that we can write down.
Okay.
Will we be notified when our property easement is finished?
Yes, there will be, as we talked about with the right-of-way process, there's an appraisal process. Then you'll be contacted by the negotiator after that's been reviewed, and they'll be working with you. You will sign a contract with us and receive payment. So you'll know when you get your check that it's done, and you'll know it's getting close to that because you'll have signed a contract with us.
Next question. Will Project B begin at Southwest 23rd and systematically work toward Southwest 36th?
Danielle, have you guys worked on any type of construction phasing yet?
Yeah, that's the way we have it phased. And so I will tentatively say, yes, that is the plan, to start at Southwest 23rd and work our way west. There's always situations where the contractor might have something else in mind, but for the most part, that's the way we're putting it in the plans.
And the next question is kind of talking about, I think they're wondering how or if we might have school crossings at the roundabout at Coddington and A. How does that work?
I don't believe that would work any different than our typical crossing at a roundabout. The nice thing about the roundabout is you can pay attention to one direction primarily, move from the edge of the roadway into the median at the safety, and then concentrate on traffic from the other direction as then you complete your crossing. So it should be safer than picking a place where you do not have that median for a refuge in there. So that's how safety on those would be primarily handled.
And Bill, I think, is responding to an earlier question. He says, I think the safe walk for students that they are addressing is Coddington and West A from the north.
Okay, so that would be, during construction, we're just probably not going to be able to allow that or accommodate students walking into that area.
The next question is about K2 construction. This person is asking how many additional jobs will K2 construction receive when they are always behind?
We have rules and regulations in place. We have a city charter that talks about the requirements to be a responsible respondent or bidder on projects. We evaluate those, and just like always, we'll be evaluating them throughout this process and making that determination with purchasing on law whether they are to remain a responsible bidder and a contractor in the community or not.
And
I just would remind folks on this one that a lot of the delays and held up was for private utilities, in particular Windstream, that's out of the contractor's control. The contractor is not allowed to work on Windstream facilities. Contractor is not responsible for working on Windstream facilities.
And the last question up to this point that I have so far is, will we be notified when the easement is finished, meaning construction is done and our fence can be moved back? We are just west of 77 and our street seems done or close to done.
Yes, we have a process where we'll do that. We want to do that after the seeding's been done and we've got some of that established before we do that, because we don't want folks putting their fences back up and then trying to get back in to reestablish grass if it hasn't been done.
And are there any other questions? We can still answer some questions if you want to type those in the chat. If not, we can wrap up the meeting. And just a reminder, this is recorded, and so we will be able to put this up on our website just like the other two meetings. Oh, I do have one more additional question. One person said, got on late. Just one real quick thing. What is the completion date on the retaining wall?
I do not know that, Galen. As I know in talking to them yesterday, they were still waiting material delivery. So that's all I know on the retaining wall.
Yes, I would say the earliest is expect fall of this year for a completion date on the retaining wall. That would be the earliest. When, as Thomas just said, yeah, there's a delay in some material availability, and so as well as other things that have to come in place prior to the retaining wall. So sometime this fall, probably October-ish, somewhere around there.
Great. Thank you all. One person has chatted. Appreciate you taking the time to share this information. And just so everyone knows, we are going to be making again, another effort to continue to update social media. We're going to try to do it at least, every couple of months, or if anything significant has happened, we'll definitely share any news releases that go out related to West A construction, things along those lines. So just email me if you need more updates. We'll get them. But that's all we have for today. So I guess we can end this meeting. And oh, I do have one more question real quick. Who is responsible for digging the hole in my garden and then putting it back to its original status?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to, I don't know. It's a Wade. It looks like Thiessen. Galen, do you recognize that? Maybe he can give us an address or get a hold of us after this meeting with some contact information so we can look into that. I'm not sure on that. It could be private utility. It could be our contractor. It could be Gophers, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'd have to just get some contact info, and if it's something that's project related, then we would be responsible for restoring it. But like I said, yeah, we'd have to get a little bit more contact info and look into it.
Is that, and I'm assuming that's on the existing project, not the future one. So
Yeah, I would assume so as well.
The person said it raised his garden, I think, at that area, I think.
oh, it's a raised garden area. I don't know. We'd have to, I know I'm going to need to know some more specifics there. So if Wade could reach out.
I'll just have him email me here real quick for some more details that we can follow up on. So my email is in the chat. So if anybody has additional questions, we can direct those to our panelists today and respond to those tomorrow or early next week as well. So I think that's all I think that's it. Yep, that is it. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.